Welcome to Decades, hosted by Chris Rubio. Decades is a show made up of 5 generations of people brought together to discuss topics you wouldn't normally talk about with others. The goal of the show is to learn by having some good, possibly heated discussions, without losing the simple fact that it's okay to talk to different people with different opinions other than your own.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Decades. The mission, here we are again. I got Craig not brought back up. I'm slacking on my duties. Welcome, everybody watching on all the different social media platforms. Thank you for joining us again, episode 16. Our illustrious leader, Chris Rubio, is not with us tonight. He's at his son's game. Good luck, Damon Dale. But we do have a host of great guys with us. We got Craig Hannum, Crazy Man. We got our 20-year-old Kyle. We got Alex on tech. We got Jim, the nature boy, Scrano, with us tonight. Got a lot of good topics. We're going to cover a lot of good things. Remember, please feel free to join in and all that stuff. So I got a request before we took the air not to start in a certain way. So from he who is not the show leader, hey,
listen,
Jim, you just gave yourself away, dude. You just
can I point something out to you? Can I point something out?
Hey, thank you for volunteering.
Yeah, am I even going to go ahead? Yes.
Let me point something out to you.
Go ahead, Jim.
If you were watching the show's introduction, and it's a good introduction, but it says hosted by Chris Rubio.
Right.
So when are you going to fix that?
No, see, it is hosted by. I'm the co-host. That's how we do it. I'm kind of, remember when Ed McMahon used to sit in for Johnny Carson? Aging myself.
I know exactly what you're talking
about. Or
yes,
they used to have guest guys.
Kyle does not.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know who John? Oh,
he might. Kyle might know who Johnny Carson is.
Get that number, man.
The Tonight Show host.
Yeah.
Whoa, very nice. Golf clap to you,
yes,
man.
There you go.
Done.
Craig, have you met Kyle yet?
No, it's my first time.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I've been on a podcast that I was on an episode.
It was a while back, I think.
Yeah. Kyle's our 20-year-old college student.
Yeah, been a little busy with class.
A little bit.
All good, buddy. All good.
Don't follow the way Jim and I did things. Go to class.
Listen, you're going to have to keep an eye on my son as a freshman. Tell me which fraternities to stay away from and all that kind of stuff.
Well, Kyle, tell me your rates for babysitting, all right? That's important.
Yeah.
All right,
Start charging them.
Okay, yeah, case of beer for me and my boys.
The lacrosse team.
All right, I will.
Yeah, tell them to go, yeah. Anyway, all right.
Yes, I made a request, Ed. You're right.
You did, Jim, I wasn't going to give it away to the people, but hey, you want to give it away. Anyway.
I was raised Catholic. What can I say?
So was I.
I was fired as an altar boy, so there you go.
Was you know what? I was an altar boy. Well,
I'm not even.
God!
I was an altar boy.
Rubio,
not like that.
Rubio would have a field day with that.
A bottle of wine, and mass was never ever the same.
Yeah.
Was
mass ever the same? All right. Anyway, let's get into our first topic. Here you go. All right, Big Pharma. Big Pharma has all this research, all these drugs. Are they ever going to? It's big business. You know, they charge a lot of money for some of these bigger diseases. These pills. Some pills are $3,000 a pop. Government's trying to regulate. My question to you guys, and what do you think? Will we ever see a cure for these major diseases, where does Big Pharma play too much of a role in this, and they're publicly traded companies and so on? Craig, what say you as somewhat of a pseudo medical professional?
Right. So here's how it works. You know, there are medications out there that sustain life. Okay, so I'm not taking away from that, but when we're giving Zoloft to a 14-year-old, we got a problem. When we're giving Adderall to another kid, we got a problem. When we're giving medications to suppress their energy, you know, that's a problem. You know, learn how to parent. You know, I get it. But if you think about it, if you take one medication to sustain life, as you get older and things happen, your testosterone level goes down as men, you know, and guys that are starting in our 50s, we're realizing that. I'll admit it. I take testosterone injection supplements once a week, And I noticed a difference, but it's testosterone. They're augmenting, if you will, adding to existing testosterone. So you gotta be careful with medications, because once you take one medication for whatever ailment you have, that's fine for a while, okay? And then something else happens. So you gotta take a medication that supplements the current medication for other things. The body becomes physiologically codependent on that medication. So you got to be careful. I always tell guys, I told this to all the soldiers, I tell it to veterans all the time, have an honest conversation with your provider. What do I actually need? Case in point, I'll be quick with this, brother, and my boys. When I retired in 2015, I went through my evaluation up to my retirement date with the VA, about 6 months out. When I left the VA center in Tucson, Arizona, and I don't care if I dimed you bastards out, because you know what y'all did. When I'm walking out, they say, hey, don't forget your bag on the way out. I was like, I didn't come in with the bag. I got my 3-ring binder right here. I said, I came in with a binder that had all my stuff, chronological order, injuries, locations, et cetera. Yeah, stuff was redacted. I said, but that's I didn't come in with a bag. They said, no, you pick it up on your way out at the pharmacy. I was like, what the hell is she talking about? When I got there, I grabbed the bag. There were, this is important to note, there were 3 refills that would have lasted me another 12 months, okay? And in that bag were antipsychotics, sleep medication, Ambien, which is, do not take Ambien. It's the worst thing out there in the world for sleep, okay? It causes amnesia, it's dangerous, okay? And then you had pain medication. They were all narcotics. You're thinking, wait a minute, why are you giving me 20 milligram of Oxycontin, which chemically is nearly identical to the chemical makeup of heroin? So you gotta be careful. It's like, why are you doing this? And here's why. For the next year, we keep you at bay, because you're taking this stuff, and then your body becomes physiologically dependent on it, especially the dope. So I always tell people, be careful about medication. The only thing I take currently is Prilosec, because I don't have a gallbladder, okay? So it's a medication secondary to losing something that you need to process all the bad stuff in your body. No problem. So if I don't take it, I get acid reflux. I've tested it, and trust me, who's had acid reflux at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? You're like, oh my God, this sucks. The crap's come. Anyways, and gabapentin. I'm going through a process right now with a great doctor that I'll see next Tuesday to get off the gabapentin and actually learn how to manage major pain. So you gotta just, to anybody out there, just talk to your doctor honestly. That's hard, because we're growing up in a culture where fix it, keep it at bay, go away.
So brother, so actually I'm on gabapentin as well. So I understand what you're saying. I'm on that for some nerve pain due to my chronic.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it works because it increases the body.
But it also has, you have to deal with the side effects. So I would take from what you said. I was going to take from what you're saying is that no, we're not going to really see cures. We're going to see, because it's too much of a big. I gotcha.
It's just masking.
All right. Yeah, crazy man. I know because of some of the stuff you've been through. You've been on medicine. What do you think?
I think it's they mask the medication. I mean, one medication, like Craig was saying, you give it for this pain, then this goes on. So it's like almost a domino effect. And I take medication. I could have taken gabapentin for my anxiety, but I take something else different. But I also take stuff for migraines and so forth. But I was never one to take medication. I'd rather have lived through the pain, either physically, mentally, and so forth. And I will go out and exercise to decompress from either what I'm going through with depression or anxiety, as well as the day-to-day life of being a school teacher.
Go ahead, keep going.
That's what I would say. If you need that stuff, it's great. It will help you, but once again, you have to make sure that you don't overuse. And as Craig said, you talk to your doctor. You actually have to be honest with your doctor on what you're going through, because if you're not honest, you're not going to be around with the different medication that is out there that could contradict or work against each other.
So okay, so my question. So you don't think so? The cures for diseases, etc., that cancer, Alzheimer's, frontal temporal lobe dementia, things of that nature that are still being researched today, and have
I think they
medicines are
used
coming
it.
out. Do you think we'll ever get to a point where we will see?
No, they won't, because they'll lose money. They're in it for the money.
Alex, what do you think?
Well, I think when pharmaceutical companies figure out how to profit from a pill or some kind of a major cure to cure cancer, they would be after it, because it would still be a profit, just a different medication or different pill or different treatment. Okay, I mean, I don't see why wouldn't they want to profit from some major breakthrough and make money at least for the next 10, 15 years while they have a patent, to profit from it. Same as they did with Viagra and other stuff. Okay, I mean.
So if I'm hearing, so what you're saying is that the solution comes out, and they're gonna. So if it cures you, if you're on it for 6 months, let's say, for example, on 6 months it cures you, they're gonna that's at least a money making deal for them.
Well, because there are many companies, it's not like one Pfizer, okay? There are many companies in the States and Israel and other countries that can potentially profit from a major curing cancer or any other major thing that are not curable right now, like, for example, Parkinson's, okay?
Right, exactly. Good, yeah, or MS or something like that.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Yes. All right. Kyle, as our college student, what do you think about all of this?
So just like logically, from like my point of view, I feel like they already exist. With the way that modern science and technology is nowadays, like they definitely have found a cure for most major diseases, but because of the way that the money that comes from private healthcare and everything like that, the money that's just that you just get from those companies, the companies get off of those diseases, they'll never release the cures. It's just impossible not to believe that with, we have
that's a bigger payoff, Kyle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
bigger payoff.
Yeah,
the cure cuts the income down drastically.
Exactly. So it definitely exists, but it's just got to be so under lock and key that they'll never ever.
It's funny that you said that, because what kind of prompted me, there's a Family Guy episode where Lois's father actually has the cure for cancer and has it under lock and key. Mm-hmm. And it's basically the premise of the issue is trying to get that out or whatever. And
well, but
you're exactly right. I mean, is it out lock and key? Then okay, let me get Jim's thought, and then I have kind of a follow-up question. Jim, what do you think?
No.
You're not going to talk, or no, you don't?
No, that's the answer to the question. No, Big Pharma does not want to reveal that there are cures out there. So crazy as it seems, but everything happens for a reason, Ed. And I was at my second job today, and I met this really cool guy. And he talked about something. Now, please tell me if somebody's heard this, because I had never heard it before. Have you ever heard of CRISPR?
Isn't that what
the DNA technology?
CRISPR.
I got it wrong. See, Kyle, I'm so glad you're here, because you're like definitely the smartest guy. Now that Craig has stepped out of the picture, you're definitely the smartest guy.
So we would have thought it was some kind of potato chip. And
no, yeah, it's
no, I just had the name wrong. Go ahead, Kyle.
I know, but
genetic modifying. It's DNA modifying technology, right? They go in and they change the genetic biome in your DNA.
So, Ed, basically, this stuff is out there, but our country is so far divided between the elite, that the billionaires that have it, and everybody else. So there may be somebody that's tapping into this, but it ain't going to be you or I. And, Big Pharma is going to continue to throw drugs at you. Anytime I turn on the TV or even listen to Spotify, I'd say half of the ads are prescription drug based. I don't see them working out or maybe try to get people to eat a little bit better. Like take a page from MD and Chef. This is a downstream thing. Like we want to just treat the symptoms by throwing drugs. You know, Alan, you talked about in education, you know, these kids that are all on drugs, or maybe it was Craig that said that. But first, you got the doctors that they're making the diagnoses. Everybody has ADHD. I can go in there tomorrow and get a script that says my kid has ADHD tomorrow, and then with that comes drugs. It's ridiculous.
So, okay,
it makes me very sad to think that like they want us dependent on drugs and doped up on drugs and all for the root of it.
Well, Jim, you have to also understand is
Crazy
that
man,
being in education, some students or children definitely need that extra support with ADHD.
I get it. But
other students don't.
I'm 56 years old. I did not know what ADHD was when I was 12.
Well,
I was actually diagnosed back in the 70s with ADHD.
I'm not saying it didn't exist, but I think now, and that's one example. I'm talking about kids with anxiety. Why does every other kid have anxiety? What?
Well, hold on. That's our next topic. Hold that. And that's going to be part of what the topic is, but there's probably an answer to that. Kyle, you had your hand up, then Alex.
Yeah. So my thing is that what kind of helps me think about the fact that it definitely exists already, like a lot of major cure stuff, is because you don't see millionaires and billionaires dying from cancer or
that's a good point.
Stephen Jobs.
Yeah, Stephen Jobs. Good. Yes, Alex. Stephen Jobs did die of cancer.
Okay.
Maybe they didn't have.
I know that.
Maybe they didn't have.
Maybe he refused the cure. Maybe he refused it.
Maybe
there's a lot of Kyle. You missed it.
Maybe Bill Gates has it and doesn't like Jobs and said, "Hey, Jobs, here it is."
Well, look at Magic Johnson, who has AIDS. Yeah. That's probably been one of the longest living person with AIDS in that time.
Yeah, if you have the money, you obviously can receive the best treatment because they have if you watch a James Bond movie, I mean, it seems a little out there, but these multi-millionaire villains, they all go to these private health hair saunas and that they get their faces changed. It definitely exists.
It's funny you say that, Kyle, because the testosterone supplements that I get once a week are not authorized by the VA or TRICARE. I have TRICARE for life as a retiree. Mm-hmm. So the wife and I are I'll freaking pay out of pocket. Let's get rid of the freaking red tape. That's the problem. You have a patient that comes to you with, hey, what's going on? When they did my blood work, they did a blood workup, and when I saw the results, I'd never seen this data before. It's because it's not being masked by insurance. Mm-hmm. Oh, if anyone says, well, insurance companies are separate from pharmaceuticals, bullshit.
No, they're not. No, they're all in it together.
What's that phrase? What's that phrase? You're both in bed together?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, they are.
So, and I've noticed the difference. I do feel, and I'm not one to rush to failure. You guys have heard me say that term before many times. Don't rush to failure. Because, you're not going anywhere. And I do feel a difference. And if paying a little bit out of pocket is going to, help me sustain and prolong life and be healthy,
right. We can go down a whole rabbit hole with how pharma's in bed with insurance and how pharma and insurance are in bed with the politicians. If Bill Geiser was with us, he could shed light on how big pharma's in bed with the politicians. Alex, you had a comment. Let's close this out on this.
Well, the comment that I have, for example, let's say if all the US-based pharmaceutical companies are greedy, they don't want, cancer cures and other stuff. What about big companies like in Europe, like Bayer? Okay, it's a huge German-based, company. They make all kind of medicine, and Germany kind of has more or less government healthcare kind of thing. So why doesn't that company competes and says, hey, we have a cure for cancer, and let's do it, and then everybody else tries to follow or compete or kill it, if you will.
So we all agree that cancer medication is probably the most expensive stuff out there, right?
Oh yeah.
Radiation, yada yada yada.
Yes.
Imagine if someone says, "Hey, I found the cure for cancer," and it's not going to create zombies, right? It's not Hollywood. Who's going to take the biggest hit? That's the most expensive
yeah.
out there.
Oh yeah. Yes.
The dude
Yes.
just
And you sit here, and it's to me somewhat it's a moral dilemma. You sit here.
Craig,
Because-
were you on when we talked about CRISPR? Is that right, Kyle? CRISPR?
Yeah.
No, it's crispy, Jim. It's crispy.
No, I made that mistake.
It's like fried chicken.
Shut up, Ed.
Like the fried chicken.
No, man, I wasn't. Why?
So I was at my second job today, and I met this guy, and this older guy, and he seemed really intellectual, really with it, and he talked about this scientific DNA process they have called CRISPR that can basically, Kyle, fix anything. If it
So is it
exists.
like is it like stem cells? I mean, stem cells kind of fix everything.
No,
too.
so what it is that from my understanding, it basically goes in and it changes certain aspects of like
your DNA composition or something.
Yeah, your DNA.
Yeah.
Sequence. So like,
right.
to
if
the
there's
point, like,
something imbalance in the DNA, then they can balance it, right, Kyle? Is that kind of the way?
Are you talking about clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic repeats? It's called gene editing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like the COVID vaccine from Pfizer and Moderna, which was an mRNA, which means it attaches to your DNA.
No, this changes it.
Yeah, they can go in and they can change the genetic sequence. So like if you're, and what's probably going to happen is they're going to start doing is they're going to start using it on pregnancies. So if you're probably, that you and your wife are probably genetically predisposed to certain illnesses, the technology is going to get to the point where they can go into your child's genetic genetic code and basically take out that tiny part that enables them to be predisposed to that illness.
Yeah, that's playing God.
I mean, if it's used correctly, that'd be great. But if you look at it in the one way, it's how to make us superhuman. I mean, blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah, but have you ever seen the movie Gattaca?
Yeah. You keep referring to fictional movies, Kyle. Come on.
Well, but fictional movies are actually real life.
Yes, it does. If you just watch The Day After Tomorrow, that's coming true.
Okay, next topic.
No, we're gonna take a break. We'll come back with the next topic. Great job, guys. I think it's consensus that we all believe.
Hold on. Didn't Darwin write in one of his papers that we're not changing DNA, we're identifying DNA? Because I think the moment we start screwing out genetics, we're playing something higher power kind of thing. I think it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous.
It's called eugenics. That's
right.
Nah, I think that's dangerous, bro.
That's
Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes. Here we go.
Nice conversation for a quick 25 minutes, guys. Good job. Let's take a quick break and listen to our Alex tech tip.
Today's tip is about a new way to protect your computer screen from prying eyes, patented by Microsoft. The tool could be used in public spaces to blur or scramble the parts of your screen that you are not actively looking at. The patent broadly outlines a technique in which a webcam or other sensor tracks the user's gaze. Except for the area the user is looking at, the whole display is scrambled or blurred, making it invisible to anyone walking by. As the user gaze shifts, the clear area shifts too, maintaining privacy around any portion of the screen not actively utilized. Most people are not hackers, and most of your fellow coffee shop visitors, bus passenger, or conference attendees have little to no interest in looking at what's on your screen, let alone copying it down somewhere. But that isn't easy to say. Visual hacking can or doesn't happen. If you're particularly worried or simply embarrassed about what's on your screen, a tool like Microsoft's could benefit you, if it ever makes it into a real world. This tip for a great show called Decades is brought to you by Alex on Tech.
Now,
thank you, Alex.
It sounds like you say, watch us on Decades.
Okay, well, I've never heard that, but okay, all right.
Listen,
All right,
Sorry.
never thought that.
You're one for saying that.
Hector, whatever you said before.
I got a question
billionaire-
for Alex.
Hold on for a second. Hector, whatever you said before billionaires, type it again. It didn't come through, but you're coming through now. Hector is my Filipino friend who Rubio thinks he's what a Greek Mexican or something like that. I don't know.
That's hilarious. That
You have another friend?
Introduced him as a Filipino friend.
Couldn't you just say your friend, Ed?
I know, Ed. What the hell?
Yeah, why
Yeah.
you gotta break it down like that, man? That hurts me. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm Scottish. What's next? I believe in unicorns.
That's a trigger warning.
Alex, I got a question. Alex,
I don't like it. I don't like any of you at this point. So go ahead, Tim. Ask a question.
Chris is not even here tonight. Oh, yes.
Don't even
Listen,
ask you.
I
yes.
could use this product, this screen. What is it called? Or is there numerous ones out there that you can install?
Well, basically, I mean, there are several. I mean, I don't remember the exact name for the other ones. You know,
We'll talk because
Sure,
as a
yeah, you could
counselor, my screen is open a lot, and then people come in, and I don't want that. They can't see that. It's confidential stuff.
well, you can also use one of those, you know, like a screen protectors, the physical ones that
Okay,
actually,
yeah.
would look like you go to a medical office, okay? It
Gotcha.
would look like just black background, and you know, only you can see it, but no one else can.
Perfect.
You know, it's a
Jim,
physical-
just put it on sleep and just close your laptop. Come on.
Just close your lap. Yeah, somebody comes in, close.
Just close your laptop. Nobody will see
All right,
it.
I
guys.
know.
All right.
Or-
Next topic. Now that
I trust.
since we have, since we have two school people here.
Shit.
Here we go. All right, no, this is we have school shootings and so on. Jim, you were saying the anxiety. Hell, if I was going to school these days, I went out to get the newspaper this morning. Yes, I still read a newspaper. There was a young lady walking to school at like 6:45, and I said, that's nice because school's right down the street. And, I thought about it and I said, when I walked to school, I was just thinking about my friends. Who knows what's going through these kids' minds nowadays? My question to you guys is that something needs to be, that school shooter who came in and so on. And this might be a 21 Jump Street, analogy. Do we need to start putting in plainclothes people who are actually tactical to protect the schools? Open it up for debate.
That's not your original question that you put in the thread, by the way. You changed it. Threw me off. I was all prepared to answer the other question.
Okay, hold on.
I was all
Jim,
prepared
oh my
to
God,
answer the
Jim.
other
I
one.
think,
Let Craig
Oh my
go.
God,
Let Craig
Jim.
go.
little poetic
Jim,
license there,
Craig
guys.
go.
Hold on. I was.
You're lucky I could change on the fly. I'm
Should
good.
we give teachers access to body armor
That's
and guns
completely
to protect
different.
themselves? No, it's
Completely different.
all right. Then let's.
Well, as someone who's in school,
Jim, you give me a headache. I'm just gonna say, I love you, brother, but you give me a headache. Go ahead, Kyle, please.
as someone who's in school, and it's going to be I'm going into my senior year, but it's like my thought process, and I have a lot of friends that are actually like in the education majors and things like that, and they want to be teachers.
Right.
We've had the conversations where where I agree. Well, my thought process is that if a teacher, has a gun as a firearm, in their personal life, and they know how to use it, and they have their pistol permit, and they have gun license, and if they have their concealed carry license, they know how to use it. Then I think that they should have it. And here's the other thing: if you just take for instance, like if you were in the mindset of I'm going to go in and I'm going to shoot up this school, and crazy. But if you knew that every single person that was over the age of 18 had a strap on them, the second you get inside that door, you're not going to want to do it because you know that the second you walk in the door, you're not making it out. You probably won't even get your hand on the trigger. You probably won't even get your finger on the trigger if you walk into a building knowing that every single person in there is armed. So it becomes to the point where everyone's just like, oh, well, they're blaming it on guns. You need to take the guns away and everything like that.
Yeah. Can't blame it on.
It's not the way to do it. It's as someone, who has, I have a gun. I have my gun license. I have my hunting license. I know how to shoot. I know how to use one.
Right.
So
and actually, my point is that we can't arm everybody, because you're exactly right. He's going to come in and just start strafing bullets.
yeah,
You have to have them strategically placed, like something like strategically placed, like a 21 Jump Street. Like they're in there.
My idea is like if we my personal idea, and I think it's probably the best thing. I think it's the best idea. One of them. Is we have so many unemployed veterans in this country that would absolutely love they serve their country, and I know veterans that absolutely would be like, hey, let's hire veterans and have them armed and for security as extra. The school resource officer in my in my high school, it's one dude for an entire school. Makes no sense.
Right.
Hire people that need jobs and have experience with firearms in the military, retired police officers, whatever, and let them keep kids safe.
Alex, what do you say? Thank you, Kyle.
Good points. Yeah, I say also, for example, let's say in case of high school, maybe even in middle school, as Rubio was saying, I think a week ago, why don't we have just one entrance and one exit, not like 5 different entrances and exits where people can just freely go in and out, and it's easier to control one entrance and one exit, compared to multiple ones, okay, and put somebody who can actually, protect the school, with a firearm, at that entrance and exit, maybe 1 or 2 people, okay, and basically that would solve a lot of those kind of school shootings, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, at that one entrance, do you think we put metal detectors?
Well, in areas where there is more danger, for example, for that kind of stuff, yeah, you might want to put. Why not? Why do we put metal detectors in courts and social security offices, and airports, but we don't put them in high schools? I mean, when there is a chance to put that kind of stuff, why not?
Right, because I know for us, I know here in Loudoun County, and I'll just touch on this, but Crazy Man can do more. To get in, you actually have to you can't, once school starts, the door's locked down, and you can't get in unless you flash, like as a parent, unless that's changed. Crazy Man, why don't you go ahead and give your thoughts, and then I'll circle to Craig and Jim.
I mean, I have taught at all 3 levels, in high school, middle school, and elementary. You have one way in. You are able to leave outside school at elementary because you have the car pickup and so forth. But now you do need to be buzzed in even at middle school and elementary. They have redesigned the school where you just don't walk into the school, but you have to go through a set of doors, then go into the office. Being a teacher for 18 years, you have to have the mentality or even to be able to pull the trigger or even carry. And being certain teachers, if you're carrying a weapon, that's taking a lot of responsibility. For myself that works in the special education, I couldn't carry a weapon. I mean, just working with the clientele that I have, with the students that have a different ability. So you have to think outside the box. Where I taught before, one of my guys that we thought of, we had fire extinguishers in the classrooms. We had hockey sticks that we'd actually play hockey in a hallway, but we also used it as protection. So you have to think outside the box when it comes to if you're willing to do what it takes. Some teachers may not want to take that. They will protect their students, and that's 100%. But you will have that 1 to 2% will think outside the box to protect and go and actually jump on the grenade, so to speak. But I do like how Kyle was talking about is that you have veterans out there that are willing to step up and be that protector. So if you have individuals that are out there making a community safer, being talking with the students and so forth. I mean, the kids are great, and they're there to protect them.
I saw actually a teacher. I saw Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I saw a teacher comment about basically someone on this topic saying, her whole thing was, I'm not a security guard, I'm a teacher, or I'm not a bodyguard, I'm a teacher. I don't know. Basically, her thing was, she didn't want to carry. She didn't want to have that responsibility.
And that's all.
And I agree.
I
mean, it's a
I
tough
agree with that,
responsibility.
Ed.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, it's a dilemma. It's like, how do you fix this problem, Jim? What do you think?
Well, I'm pissed that Kyle just buzzed out because it was kind of a response to his comment. But I think he went from one of the worst ideas I ever heard. I would never put guns in teachers' hands. I mean, no way. That would be insane. Not to mention, I would not want my kid going to a school where there were armed teachers. I'm just saying.
Okay. I totally get that.
Yeah.
So what's the solution? So what's the solution?
I mean, the veterans idea, it's not totally out of the question. Kyle's texting me. Laptop.
It looks like he died.
Yeah.
The laptop.
Yes, Ryan. Kyle.
Anyway,
Kyle's having equipment issues.
Call Alex in tech.
Yeah.
Call ping Alex. He can help you.
Yeah.
Could have been paying more.
Well, if I didn't know any better, I think he was
he's
double tasking by doing something else too. He looked like he had something going on. But the veterans idea, I don't know if there's any real sure fix. Like, Alex, I get what you're talking about. Metal detectors and coming in one entrance or one exit. And that exists in a lot of schools. And I'd have to look at data and statistics, but a lot of these school shootings seem to be more in, rural, kind of unexpected. It's not necessarily inner city. And, is it a student that's in the school? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a former student that gets back into a school. So there's many ways that they can get in. I think having some form of an SRO or an officer that's armed is a good idea. We have an SRO and they don't carry. And I'm like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. Like, no offense, Alan, but I'm not bringing a hockey stick to a gunfight. And I'm not bringing.
Alan, did the Loudoun County Sheriff's deputies carry in the schools? I wasn't.
Yes,
sure
they do.
Oh, they do. Okay.
But they don't come. But they're not in elementary. So if we do have a student,
I thought they were. I thought I've seen one in
only middle school, and high school. Middle school and high school is where the SROs are. But if we do need them, they will step down and come down to the elementary. But in your argument, Jim, if someone's trying to come in through a locked door and break the window, hey, guess what? I got a hockey stick, and they're not going anywhere. I have a fire extinguisher. I can use the spray them as well as.
I'm not saying I wouldn't go down swinging, but I'm not going to step up and bring a gun. No.
If you really want to,
you really have to think outside the box.
Hornet killer.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
If you can get a solid spray of Hornet killer in someone's eyes, they're done.
Oh yeah.
It's like long range mace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why don't you just? I mean, you could even carry remember Dog the Bounty Hunter? Everybody remember Dog? And he used to carry those. They would carry those massive cans of mace on them.
Yeah.
They were like
huge. The Bounty Hunter, he was not authorized to carry lethal force. He could only carry less lethal force.
Right. So I mean, that's something.
Listen, I don't. That those thoughts don't even go through my mind when I go to my school. Now, that's not to say we don't take safety precautions and we don't drill and practice our emergency shutdown and lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. But I don't go there with the idea that I'm going to be facing a school shooter.
But do you guys do like fire drills, actually shooter drills?
Lockdown. Yeah.
Oh man, see that's something new in this day and age. That's not. I mean, you and I and this whole, except maybe Kyle, all of us never went through that. Well, maybe Alex probably just pulled his gun out that he had in class with him because over in the Soviet Union they probably gave them all guns back then. Sorry.
Well, no one is allowed to have guns except military.
Well, that-
Okay, and police.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like my thought process on it is back in the day, like in the 80s and the 90s, kids would go to school with their gun rack in their truck, and
I
you
did.
never saw
I did.
people. You never saw any.
Back
You ever heard schools getting
Yeah.
shot up?
Because you know what? You know why, Kyle? Because what happened was when there was issues after school, you went out, you took care of your issues. If you had
Yeah.
a problem with me, you and I were going to have it out. Jim and I would have it out, mano
Yeah,
a
you'd have a
mano,
fist
and
fight. It's
yeah,
kinda,
you'd have
you know,
a
it's how it
fist fight
should be.
and it'd be done.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's true to a certain extent, Ed. I mean,
But
don't
you
tell me,
didn't have-
don't
but-
tell me kids didn't get bullied back in
No.
our day.
No, I'm not saying. No, I'm not
They
saying
just
that at
didn't
all.
come back and shoot the school up. That's all.
But because once they left school, it was over. They didn't go online and get
Yeah.
hammered continuously. Anybody? I actually was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, "You guys, I'm assuming you all have seen Full Metal Jacket, right? That's remember Pyle,
Yeah.
the sergeant beats the hell out of him through the whole first part of the movie, and he snaps. That's exactly what we're seeing here in society. People are getting overly beat up, and there's no question. Is they need a better outlet. They need something better.
You have to
Anyway.
also remember, Jim, I mean, when we grew up in the 80s and 70s and 80s, if we didn't pick on you, we didn't like you. All right. We didn't.
That was a different
the
kind
difference-
of picking on.
The difference between kids nowadays is that we did it not maliciously. I mean, we were not out there just to insult them, and we did things out of fun. All right. These kids have no respect. I mean, like I told my middle schoolers and high schoolers, I said, the difference between me disliking a teacher and you disliking a teacher is I still respected them at the end of the day.
Right.
The students nowadays have no respect for themselves, for their teachers, or for their peers.
Well, you're bringing in external factors, and that's all societal problems that are going to make somebody a school shooter versus, going home. At least that was somebody explained it to me. If you were getting bullied at school, you were at least able to go home at 3:00 to hopefully a safe, loving environment. You didn't have people on TikTok or whatever blasting you and creating all kinds of havoc in your life. It was different. It was different.
We're not going to have. You're exactly right, and we're not going to have time. We're not going to have time. Well, I got to hit Craig, but we're not going to have time to hit on it. But it goes back to the parents of the father of the last shooter was just charged, and that's a whole nother conversation because it even looks like kids aren't going home to safe spaces. Craig, what are your words? And you close this out on this.
Getting busted or charged with a negligent homicide means you were aiding and abetting that shooter. Okay, so let's leave it at that. All right. So laws are changing, just so we know. Now, a lot of you guys don't know this, but I was training law enforcement agencies since 2009 in active shooter response and mitigation. I taught military bases, local cops, county, and the like. I started training people to do single person entries already inside the school. So I focused on the SRO. An SRO in a school is not so much a cop as an authoritative figure. It's that bridge between, it's community service. It's called community-based policing, and it's effective. It's very effective. And make a note to Chris, who's been writing, up on the screen and stuff. Everything he's saying is accurate. Okay, so I can't tell you the duty station I was at, but I was involved in 4 active shooting events that were all lethal. Sadly, I did it. Am I so upset about that? Hell no. It was sad that it happened because we didn't have the identification beforehand. And of course, afterwards, people are like, oh yeah, he said this, he said that. Well, it's the same thing with my suicide prevention program. You tell me something after the fact, that doesn't help me. But
Monday morning quarterback.
To say something because they're so worried about being wrong. I'd rather somebody be wrong than right after the fact. Now, here's my take on arming folks in a school. If they're trained, if they're this. Now, they have to have the discipline. They have to have been exposed to violence when they know that if I don't need the gun, I'm okay. My point is, if I have to think, do I need my gun? You don't need it. You don't. You can de-escalate. Now, arming extra people in a school is the dumbest idea in the world. And here's why. Adding more guns to a volatile situation where you, as the responding officer, really don't know who the shooter is. Your descriptions are going to be sketchy. They're not going to be accurate. It's going to be based off of people calling 911 in a panic. Okay, that's going to happen. It's going to flood the 911 switchboards in that area. No one's going to be able to get across. And then you're going to have every other freaking parent arming themselves to the gills, showing up to the school. It's all bad. It's a huge issue. I've never been involved in an active shooter event that lasted more than 15 minutes. I'm talking from first shot fired to subject down. The less guns responding, the better it is. That's why we taught single man entries, which if anybody knows anything, it's extremely dangerous. You're passing unclear areas. Your approach is called direct to threat. You meaning you're going straight to the gunfire because every shot fired potential is a life lost. Guys, we're talking this last minutes. It's violent. It's fast. Yeah. It's going to involve a small amount of people and not the entire facility or the educational institution. And that's the thing. The moment you put up a sign that says every single person on this place is armed, you took away the educational factor of trying to mentor children to grow up on their own, make mistakes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a touchy slope. And the panic factor is huge. And then you get judged. I got judged. You ran past my kid and he was hitting the leg. Yeah, I know. I did. Yeah. Why? I got hit hard one time. I said, well, I still had a shooting going on. I was the only person in the building. And I came back. He was still alive. My point is, it took me less than 3 minutes, or my team less than 3 minutes to neutralize the threat. We came back and he was still kicking. The mom was like, what's your point? In less than 3 minutes, if I came back and he was not alive, that injury was mortal. There's nothing I was going to be able to do in the first place. We had to teach ourselves that and accept that risk.
Yes.
And it's hard because you don't see a kid, you see your kid.
Right. Yeah, I can only I can't imagine walk. Yeah.
So I see what Kyle's saying. You know, if you have the right person, but you need the right person, veteran, retired cop, whatever, who's actually been exposed to violence. I had a cop, a state cop from Maryland. I hope he's watching right now because he's an asshole. He was assigned to my team in Iraq in 2004 because Bush had this wonderful idea to assign so-called subject matter experts to all these teams. Well, we were in a firefight outside freaking Fallujah, going at it for a minute, and he's down there by the wheel well. He didn't fire a shot. I was like, dude, I need you to watch that freaking alley. We get back to our FOB, our forward operating base, and I said, hey, man, you're not going out my team again. You're a liability. He's like, why? I said, you were loaded for bear, and you didn't fire a single shot. He said, oh, I'm a retired state cop. I'm SWAT, yada, yada. I'm like, oh, yay, that's fantastic. However, you've never been shot at, which means you've never really been exposed to violence. And I have lost count how many times I was carrying and didn't need it. I had it, but I didn't need it. It's a tool that is the last resort. Sometimes it's the first resort, and the situation will dictate always. Don't arm teachers because they're there to teach. You know, you take away that sanctity of mentoring, teaching, coaching, all that jazz. Instead, he's yelling, do I draw? Because I feel he's escalated. Remember, it's about perception. It is my perception based on the threat. He has escalated. So I drew my weapon. Why'd you draw your weapon? Why drew my weapon? Yada, yada, yada. Well, he was pissed because he just got his heart broke by a girlfriend who broke with him on the damn phone. Whatever it might be. But you heard yelling. When people hear yelling nowadays, it's like, oh my God, is he okay? What's going on? Do we lock it down? Dude, it's a football game. Relax. You know, you have to get a person who's been exposed to such extreme violence that they can sit there and they're not desensitized to it. They're fully aware of it, but they're like, that's not a threat. That's just whatever. Or I hear shots being fired. Okay, cool. I know what to do. You've got to be very, very careful. And unfortunately, how active shooter events have evolved since Columbine, you know, every situation, if you look back in history, every single one is unique. But there's two constants with active shooters, okay? One, highly suicidal, because they are not planning on getting out alive.
Yep.
The kid in Georgia, he was coached, he was mentored. That's why he gave up right away, okay? The other constant with active shooters is there's a mental health disability there that has been diagnosed, has probably been pushed to a local police department, okay? Case in point, Gabrielle Giffords, okay? And Jared Loeffner. His counselor told Tucson Police Department, if they're watching, you guys suck. She told Tucson Police Department, this guy is a threat. He's saying he's going to do this on that day. 32 minutes before that shooting occurred, he was pulled over for speeding by an Arizona Game and Fish officer. What if that Arizona Game and Fish officer knew there was something going on in this kid's life? Said, hey, it says here you're not allowed weapons. I have probable cause now to search your vehicle to make sure you don't have weapons. But Congress won't do it because they say it violates HIPAA, which is bullshit because, Ed, you wear glasses. Jim, you wear glasses. Guy, you wear glasses. It's a prescription. You have to verify that you're wearing your corrective lenses or contacts while driving. If that's a prescription, how the fuck are we violating HIPAA by telling people you can't have guns for a certain period of time undergoing treatment?
There you have it.
I'm trying to stop this shit.
Mine were actually dollar store cheap.
Mine are actually readers that I got off the Amazon.
Don't read it. But Jim is a counselor. Jim wrote a script or a memorandum that states this guy cannot own weapons during treatment. We're not violating the Second Amendment rights.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? We're maintaining their safety because of their mental capacity.
Absolutely. Excellent end to this topic. We're going to go take another Alex tech tip. Then we'll come back and we're going to check.
Yes. I got to get some homework done. So
He's got a jet. Kyle's got a jet.
All right, later,
see you
Kyle.
guys. I got to get some homework done.
Yep. Sure. Later, brother.
You guys.
Later, brother.
Be safe.
All right, man. We're going to go we're going to take an Alex tech tip. And just so everybody knows, I think it was Ryan who just asked, the Nature Boy comes from, it's a nickname I gave Jim Scrano when I saw all his nature pictures over the last couple of months. And I said, the
I thought it was his blonde hair.
What hair?
What hair? What blonde hair?
Hey, crazy man, I got one thing to say to you, brother.
You say glare?
Yeah, the glare.
Exactly. In the dark, bro.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah. This tech tip is on how to use public data check review. Public data check is a data broker that posts personal information online. To find out what information public data check has about you, number one, go to publicdatacheck.com and search for your listing. Number two, check on your name and fill out the information. Number three, they will use your email information to sell ads to their database and send you email. To avoid this, I recommend using a disposable email address like a mask email from Blur. To opt out of public data check. Number four, once they have sent you your report, send them an email with the information that they had, such as your name, address, and age, and request that the information be removed from their website. Do not send information that they do not have already, and if the information they have is incorrect, use it anyway. Number five, after this, it is unclear how long it will take them to remove your information from their site. Be patient and persistent. This tip for a great show called Decade is brought to you by Alex on Tech.
Alex, once again, thank you very much, my brother, for that great tip and everything like that. So, we're at 53 minutes. We're gonna kind of wrap it up here, but we'll wrap it up. I want to always do a check-in with everybody, and it's important because really, we spun off from where we were, and we never want to forget why we're actually here and what we're actually doing. And we're about men's mental health. We're about mental health. Let's call it what it is. We need to make sure that everybody's doing okay. Crazy, I'm going to go around the horn, and Crazy Man, how are you doing? You doing all right? You got a lot going on. What's up?
Yeah, I'm doing well. We all have our pluses and minuses. I do talk to my doctor. I do see somebody for my anxiety. I go out and to work on my anxiety, I will exercise. So I just recently worked on virtual ruck.
Sorry, Alan. I had to post this. And just so everybody knows, Chris Brothers is a friend of mine I went to grade school with that we reconnected recently.
I thought he was a friend of Craig's.
No, he's a friend. Oh, I've known Chris.
I
know
it's
Chris.
a joke.
I know Chris from years, 40 years back. So
Listen,
thanks,
if
Chris.
he's watching,
Look me up on
Chris,
LinkedIn, man. I want to connect with him. He sounds like a good dude.
Chris, bring 3 more friends next time, please.
No,
We
he
need
will.
some
He
more
tries.
All right.
And Chris, find Craig Haddam on LinkedIn. Ping me, and I can give you his link to his LinkedIn. All right, go ahead, Alex. Sorry, Alan.
No.
Sorry, Alan. Go ahead.
We need to get your readers fixed.
Yeah, no
no,
shit,
I
right?
actually doing well. You know, we all work on different aspects of our lives. What makes us good, bad. For me is continue to support my mental health as I go out and exercise. And I currently just did this past weekend 8 miles with 80 pounds with the Northern Colorado Veteran Research Center.
Nice.
That I was doing the work with their mental health program. I reached out to them because they had this in person, and I said, "Hey, look, I like to support you guys." And they said, "Hey, great, do it virtually," and that's what I do. If there's a cause, if I'm going to beat up this old 56-year-old body, let it be for a good reason. And
All right,
it's a good support.
excellent. Alex, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay, you know, basically going through life, going through motions, going to work, helping my mom, you know, exercising, drinking beer in moderation, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you say
Is
in
that-
moderation or during meditation?
Yes, exactly. Both.
Meditation.
Yes.
Isn't this our meditation?
Really?
This is meditation. Well, excellent. Jim Scrano, what say you? How are you, my friend?
I was doing pretty good, and then we started talking about Big Pharma running the world and people shooting up schools, and I was like,
So if I
damn,
hear, so basically being on the show makes your situation worse than improves it.
No. I love coming on the show, and I really get a lot out of just connecting with all you guys. And for me, like Craig or like Alan, and I'm sure Craig's going to say some of the same things, but exercise is big for me, and I'm always questioning how I could do more to improve my mental health. Like sometimes I kind of like with physical exercise or physical therapy, I get in good runs, and same thing with my mental health, you know, and they kind of go hand in hand. Like for me, I'm feeling a little like woe is me with some of my physical ailments, and that kind of brings me down. And then I'm like, what am I complaining about? Like I don't have cancer. I don't have terminal illness, at least that I know of. You know what I mean? Like I get upset though when I can't do some of the things that I really like to do physically, and that can bring me down mentally. So I'm always trying to talk to myself and understand that I really have it well, and I have to believe that. So
And
I don't know.
and Jim, if I can give you, Craig, do you mind if I go to you last? I'm going to chime in, and then I go to you last.
Cool.
Jim can always come for a little walk with me.
Right? Yeah. Well, Jim,
I go for walks all the time.
and Jim, basically, as you and Alan have said, I have my therapist that I talk to on a weekly basis, kind of keeping my shit together. It's not that easy being this great,
Do that again with your little hands.
No, don't do that.
Why is it got to be little, Jim? Why is it got to be?
Because they are, Ed.
Why can't it just be hands? Why can't it just be
You do
hands?
it once. We'll never forget it. I assure you.
Anyway, no, actually, you know what? Somebody once told me is that you have to. Yes, you're right. You've got it. You don't have cancer. You don't have that, but you do have issues you deal with, and it's okay to feel down. It's just like, and it's stuff that I've kind of worked through. It's like, you know what? Yes, I've got a dear friend who's battling cancer, and I don't have it, but I have my issues, and it's okay to feel bad about that, but just don't let it keep you down. It's have that moment and move forward. And that's kind of what I like you guys, and I try to work out, I try to, kind of just take some downtime. I'm starting to do the, like our friend Guy, the binaural, whatever that music, the different frequency. Binaural, whatever. I can never say it.
The beats.
Yeah,
meditation.
I'm doing. Yeah. Yes, I actually during my work day as I'm doing stuff that I don't have to, when I'm not talking to people, I listen to that a lot. There's a lot out there. So, and I'm just kind of looking into some of those different things, and it's just trying to stay grounded and nothing. 95% of what we do is in our subconscious. 5% of what we do is in our conscious, and we need to remember that and always try to stay planted in the moment, because we always try to think about what we've done or what we're going to do, and we can't control any of that. The only thing we can control is this moment that we're in at this time, and it passes in a fleeting second. So that's what I try to do. And Craig, since you are our guru aficionado on the old mind, you can end us tonight.
Are we doing it right, Craig? Are any of us doing it right?
You guys are on it. I want to tell you, if you haven't noticed, I was out of the loop for about 4 weeks, roughly. A lot going on. I'll be in Calgary this weekend. We're doing a big thing. A guy you don't know who after this weekend I'm going to try to bring in. His name's Kevin Smith. We're doing this whole men's mental health thing. I'm teaching classes. Calgary has been pinging me with regularity for training, and that's a good thing. But Canada has a higher suicide rate, maybe 3 times more than we do in the United States. I'm leading into that because I might get a little emotional. We all have breaking points, right? We all have our limits. And I've been helping out at the local high school here. The principal reached out to me this summer, says, "Hey man, I want to try something new. Would you be willing to come in and help us?" And we don't use the word security. He really wants me to foster an environment of, camaraderie, if you will, and oneness. So 98% of the kids are just fantastic. That 2%, they're rough. And what's rough is you spend 90% of your time on that population, and you miss the guys who are really doing great. And that's hard for them because they want to be reassured. My point is this. We had an incident where I was helping out at a local football game, and it was a rivalry game. They call it the Battle of the Bridges. One of the kids that was there attending, come to find out, he had actually been suspended that day. So if you get suspended, you guys know the deal. You can't attend any school function in a 24-hour period. So we had to kick him out. And I did. He wasn't happy about it. I talked to him on the way out. He's young. He doesn't understand what's going on. So we told the guys, I said, "Hey, ladies, he can't come back in. No problem. Everything was done." I get back to the SRO, and she's got tears in her eyes. I asked her, I said, "What's up?" She goes, "Guess what?" I said, "What?" "He's homeless." And I was like, "Oh, fuck."
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, he's homeless. He basically, they have a vehicle they live in, with more than 4 to 5 people. And they bounce around from public parking lot to public parking lot. And when I found that out, I was like, "Oh, shit." So I start, me, I'm going to get on the phone and find out everything I can about somebody. And I did. And it broke my heart. But, you got to enforce a standard. So I struggled with that. And it destroyed our Saturday with my wife. And she saw that I was pissed. And I was pissed all fucking day. So much that if the wrong person crossed my path, it might not have been good. And you guys know my goal is to eliminate suicide in North America. And the hard reality hit when she had to remind me. She's like, what'd you used to tell me when we first met? I was like, "Well, I can't say it to everybody." "You want to? Man, you fucking want to."
Right.
And you can't. And he struggles because of his environment. He's you've got dissociative personality disorder. He's very confrontational, and you have other issues that he was born into.
Trauma,
exposure to substances. And I saw him on Monday. I was talking to him. I was like, "Hey, if you could get one wish, and if I could help out with it, what would it be?" He's like, "Have a home." Oh, that fucked me up.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
15-year-old fucking kid. And he got me huge. Yeah. I was like, all right. And I find out that the mom is actually trying. She's trying so hard. She really is putting her best foot forward, but he does not have a a positive male role model. And guys, we cannot raise men to be sissies, to be wusses. We need to raise men to be self-sustaining, to be
Right. Yeah.
So it's been a struggle, and in between that, of course, I've been talking people down. We lost
It's a lot of stress, Craig. A lot of stress.
Yeah.
I got pissed off at the local tribe here in town because we lost another tribal kid of 17 years old. They see him walk into the fucking wood line with a rope, and nobody says anything. Like, hey, fuckers, he's not trying to trap deer with a rope.
Yeah.
Help me out. And it's finally hit that point where they've all had enough. And they're pissed off because the white man is telling them, I'll help you for free. Like, no, we don't want anything for free. No, you don't get it. I'm not giving you shit for free. I'm going to teach you to watch out for the next generation.
Exactly.
Right? You're not watching out for them. A kid doesn't walk into a woodline with a rope over his shoulder because he wants to, work on cat roping.
He's not making a swing. He's not making a tire swing.
And to me, that's an obvious indicator. And I teach people how to pick up on the subtle indicators, micro expressions, things they say, things they don't say, behavior, etc. So my point is this: it's been a rough 4 weeks. It's been hard because I'm tough on myself and I don't like to fail. And when I hear something happening in my community, especially in the school that I'm trying to help out in, I mean, come on, man, we don't do what we do because we're looking for freaking glory. We lead every single thing that we have, all of us, with benevolence. And the success is reaching one kid. You reach one, you're going to reach 5. Those 5 are going to reach 20, and so on and so forth. That whole pay it forward thing, that's great. They don't understand that it's amplified. And people come around and say, hey, so almost every day, probably lately, 8-9 times a day, hey, somebody needs to talk to you. Cool. Does it weigh on me at the end of the night where I'm emotionally exhausted because you've taken so much, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
Unless you pull it into yourself. You try to create a barrier, you can't. The moment you create a barrier, that's a barrier to communication. If you don't, you have to be able to soak in that emotion and that anger, that rage, that frustration, that inability to change their current environment because of age, or their inability to change their environment because of addiction.
Right.
It's all a slippery slope, but yeah, oh man, this past weekend was rough.
You are doing yeoman's work, brother. You are, and just, I want to say this. We are all here, the group here at Decades, everybody you have my number. You call it anytime. I mean, and I know you're a tough guy. We're all, you don't want to succumb to the emotions that are you don't want to become a product of what you're trying to prevent. And that's hard. Being you work with them. Those first responders. You're a first responder, brother. You go in there, you go in the heat of battle, you got to talk that guy down or that girl down off the proverbial ledge. That's not easy. And you're doing a hell of a job. And to what you told your wife, and it's a hard pill to swallow no matter what, but we can't save them all. We try to save as many as we can, and we do our best to do that. But that's the shitty part of this whole thing, is that we will never, that we can't, that there are going to be ones that we miss. There are going to be ones that we struggle. But you know what? At least there's guys like you, your organization, things that, us who are less professional, just being a group that says, hey, I'm running a tagline, struggling, need help, call 988. You guys can reach, if anybody's watching and struggling, you can chime in here via the talk,
My shit's listed. My number is out there. Everyone knows this. Right. And it's funny because it's not so much our younger generation. I told Ed about this, guys. You guys don't know about this, but I had to intervene. Young man had a knife to his wrist, and he had it the right direction. He knew exactly what he was doing. Oh. And get the knife away from him. I got him distracted. I blasted him with questions that he had to answer, that he, it started, energizing that thought process. And as soon as he looked away, like, okay, well, let me figure this out. Boom, grab the knife. He's okay. Toss the knife. Cops take it. Get him safe. Everything's fine. We pick him up. All that jazz. Cops like, okay, what do we charge him with? And that cop said that. I was like, you're not going to charge him with shit. We talked about it. He had this in the school. I was like, he is hurting. You charge him. You told him that his behavior is illegal. He's going to try it again tonight.
Get him some help.
Yeah, stop being so freaking anal. Stop being so goddamn mechanical and look at the problem. Immediately, I looked at him. I was like, have you been trained in mental health response? He's like, what? Have you been trained in a mental health crisis response? He's like, no. I was like, don't ever come to one of these again until you get training. If you want it, I'll give it to you for free, man, so you don't fuck up out there.
Yeah, because you can't come in like a bull. You can't come in like a bulldog.
No,
that's the worst thing you could do.
There's a time to tackle.
Yeah.
There's a time to just cuddle.
Yeah.
And you have to know the difference. And sometimes that can happen in the same conversation. That's what happened to that kid. And that, you know, when I took the knife away, he looked at me like, oh, you really care. Anybody listening? Any single person out there who's hurting wants to be identified. Nobody truly wants to die. They want to be validated. They want to be known. They want their story to be heard. Listen to their story. Have a conversation. 988 is great, but it's a checklist. Talk to them. Validate what's going on. Share if it's appropriate. You know, so I've been through that. Can I tell you my story? I'm 40 years older than you. Let me tell you my story, man.
Right. And as you've told us, Craig, and as you told us since I've known you past 3-4 months, whatever it's been, is you ask that question, you know, how are you doing? And it's not like, oh, I'm fine. No. How are you doing?
Are you okay?
Are you okay? Right. Are you okay?
Fuck no, they're not okay.
And if you're seeing something, you keep pressing. And on the other side of it, we have to be honest with how we are.
I've got a shirt on the back of it. So it's the Till Valhalla. So I'm partnered with those guys, right? On the back, it says, whoever is behind me, know this. You are enough. I've been tapping the shoulder going, hey, what does that mean? Why'd you tap me on the shoulder? Let's ask a better question. How are you? My name's Craig. How can I help you? Well, I'm fine. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not tapping on the shoulder so we can go hook up. There's something going on there. How are you? Let's go sit down. But we're in Walmart. Yeah, but they got a Subway. Fuck, let's go. What's up? Let's talk. Talk to me. You know, I told you guys the story. Ed's heard it. You guys have heard it. I don't know if Alan's heard it, but I talked a guy down from suicide who was staring at broccoli for 5 minutes in the grocery store. I was just watching. And if you're trained to pick up on those indicators, you're like, what's up? My wife was like, go. She knew what was happening. We got all of our produce. She knew. She's like, oh, I'll come. You come find me. Because she knew I was honed in on this guy. And I just walked up. I was like, hey, man, some good looking fucking broccoli, huh? You'd be surprised. And guys like, what are you talking about? Well, why are you staring at broccoli? You saw me staring at broccoli? Yeah. Even that video of John Bon Jovi. The lady was in front of him, and then John Bon Jovi, he was checking out that site because they're gonna do some video, right? Whatever. They both noticed how many people passed by that guy. I was like, you know what? Not my problem. Why?
Exactly.
Not my problem. And I can judge it later tonight on the freaking evening news. It's not your problem. When people say that, I was like, yes, it is. This is a global epidemic. It is a huge problem. It's a community problem. And the moment we stop caring about our fellow man, what kind of society are we trying to bring on here, man? And it starts in the schools. The moment a student walks into school where every single staff member is armed to the gills, every single staff member who's not appropriately trained, has never been exposed to violence, is looking for violence. Why? Because I want to be the hero. I want to get that freaking thing put around my neck because I love Biden or whatever it is. I want to be known as I saved lives. Fuck that. I've saved lives. No. Where's your humility? Be humble. Yeah. One person at a time is a floodgate of prevention. Okay.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, guys.
That's not bad. That's not bad. We should write that down. One person at a time.
Write a book. It'll be in the it's tape, and we'll cut it as a clip.
I'm sorry for but I feel that we have to have a genuine response to real shit.
Of course.
Oh no, Craig, Your stuff was
Problem
perfect.
is, Craig, there's not a lot of people like you. You know what I mean?
And
There's a lot, but not nearly
but
enough.
I think
Yeah.
Craig's point, and I think we all have to take it because none of us. Craig is a unique fellow who has a skill set that he's honed over the years. We have to take his lead and try to use it to the best of our ability, and actually be aware. How hard is it to say, just to go up to somebody who you say, "Hey, are you doing okay?" Or even, it's like the videos that you see of the person in the wheelchair who's at the staircase and nobody's helping that person get down the stairs. And it takes like 30 minutes until somebody says, "Do you need help?" That's, to Craig's point, it's about being human to one another.
Right.
Humanity.
Yeah.
Ask, "Hey, you need help?"
Lost a lot of that.
Let me
Well,
caveat.
Craig, I mean,
Go ahead, Alex.
working in the schools, kids aren't dumb. They're smart. They know who are there for the paycheck, who's not there for who's there for them. And once you make that connection with those kids, you're golden. They will come to you and talk to you about their problems. If you call them out respectfully, I had a bunch of kids that I heard what they had to say. I acknowledged them. And I'm saying, look, I can't do anything about this, but I hear what you're saying. They will still come to you and say, "Hey, I have this problem." If they're making that connection, and those are the small factors of teachers. Those teachers will be out there for those kids. It doesn't matter if they're there early in the morning or late in the afternoon. They will talk to those kids if and when they need them.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm about to tell this last part. I know we're over, but this is actually a good time. If we're over, it must be for a good reason. We're not talking about how bad the Yankees are. We're not talking about how awesome.
No, this is good. This is good stuff. But actually, this needs to be talked about.
Yeah, here's my point. So when I'm hanging out with the kids, we have 2 lunch periods, and I'm watching everything. I'm watching hands, all that jazz, paying attention, movement, and then as they get settled, I walk around, and it's football season. So football season is the prime time for 2 athletic events: the cheerleaders and the football players. Okay, let's be honest. Okay, so I'm always invited to hang out with the football players. "Hey man, sit down with us and talk shop." Okay, cool. That feels good. Cheerleaders, yeah, okay, cool. Far out. Guess who I actually pay attention to? The kid sitting alone, by himself, eating lunch alone. Yeah. And what I've been doing is, I'm like, "Girls, I'll be right back. What's going on?" "I'll be right back." They notice that because in between classes, I started noticing that they come up to you going, "Hey, that kid you were talking to, is he okay?" Okay, very cool. That's great. Same thing with football players. You walk up to that kid sitting there going, "Hey man, how you doing today?" "Oh, I'm fine, sir." "Cool. All right. If you don't mind me asking, you get straight to the point." That's the problem. Don't beat around the fucking bush. Straight to the point with kids. Right. Because it's like Alan was saying, if they know you're full of shit, they're not going to come to you. If they know they can reach out to you and you are honest, you will answer that call. Lead by those 3 rules. Show up, do the job you said you're going to do, and make sure everybody else is taken care of before you. They see that. It's very simple. And sit down and say, "Well, why are you eating alone?" One kid blew my mind. He's like, "Well, sir, to be honest, it's because I wear hearing aids, and every time I have to repeat myself, it's annoying. And I've only got 30 minutes for lunch, so I just want to get through it as quickly as possible." That's an honest fucking answer. One kid said, "Honestly, sir, I really don't trust anybody right now. I'm brand new. I'm a freshman, and I'm just reading the plane." Honest answer. Not psychotic, not disassociate personality disorder. He is truly just trying to figure out his new environment. Cool. One kid's like, "Well, I'm having a problem with my circle of friends." Cool. Do you want to talk about it? Is that okay? Yeah. What's up? They vent on you. You find out all kinds of things. You say, "You know what? Sounds like you're actually better off without those toxic people in your life." I said, "Now, if you come down the road and they make up," I said, "let them come to you. Don't go to them." So you start figuring out all these nuances. And every single time I do it, guess what response I get? "Sir, thank you for spending the time with me to hear my story. I didn't know anybody paid attention to me." It's very small things that really amplify in a kid's life. Like, "Hey, I can't wait to go back to school because I know he's going to check up on me." Or I can say hi to him in the hallway and not feel weird about it because he's an adult. Because there's that,
Right.
That's what we have to do. We have to bring back the conversation, just like I do in my classes. Just talk to people. Learn something about them. They may like things that you can't stand. They may believe a way that you're like, no, you're wrong. But dude, no, it's not about that. You know, they may not like Iron Maiden. That doesn't mean that they're a really, 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 really bad, you know, person when it comes to music. Because if you don't know how to fear the dark, goddamn it, you better learn. I'm joking.
Right.
Anyways,
Yeah,
just talk to them. It's fascinating to learn how people see everything else around you, because you could have 5 people involved in the exact same situation at the exact same time. They all see it differently.
Exactly.
Their perspective is important. What we have to do is change their perception on everything else and tell them that, yeah, I see what you're saying. That's how you feel. Remember, we always go back to feeling, not think. Never say, why would you think that? No. Why are you feeling? It's an emotional response, right? And then they tell you why. I'm like, okay, cool. Then I always ask, is there anything I can do to help you? I love it when they say, you actually just did it, sir. When they end with sir.
You got a lot of sirs going on. I don't get that many sirs.
Well, a lot of them know about a military. So, you know, the principal didn't help by scaring the shit out of the student body. Like, hey, I'm bringing this guy in. He's killed people. No, he's more out.
He's coming in full metal jacket on you.
No,
coming in hot. Coming in hot.
All right. Got anybody? As we wrap this up, does anybody have any last comments? Craig,
that's
that was
the first
awesome.
time I vented with anybody about what happened to me on Saturday and how I dealt with it outside of my wife today. So
God bless you.
Thank you,
my brother.
Listen,
you know
if you want to stay on for a couple minutes, I could stay up for a little bit.
All right.
And here's the guys, great episode, Craig. Thank you. This is what it's about. Being able to do this, have these kind of conversations. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's been watching, Chris Brothers and Hector, who have both commented. I want to give a shout out. We have at least 6 people over on Instagram watching us live, which is something new for us. So Thank you, everybody over on Instagram. We've got at least 17 or 18 here watching as the number. So I want to thank everybody who's chimed in. As Craig said, you can find him on LinkedIn. If you need his help, either personally or for your organization, he is an A+ asset. So with that, of course, our panelist of the night is going to be Mr. Hanel, because you know what? He showed what it's like to, he opened up, he was vulnerable, and that's what we need to do more of. We need to be not afraid to do that. And you shared your story, and I'm proud to call you friend.
Thank you, brother.
So we raise our beers. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Make sure to like.
Hold on. I just want to make note that Alan was drinking some kind of bourbon and or scotch before.
Thank you.
Right. You guys saw that shit, right?
No,
it was in the glass. You finished the
He ran out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Craig. Throw me under the bus.
Guys.
Cheers, everybody.
All right, guys. It was a great show. Thank you, everybody. And we are out of here. Remember to like, subscribe, share with all your friends.
Stay safe.